Hello and welcome, people. What's going on? Now, I've seen a lot of people come up with this discussion, this talk, whether or not Pep has been a failure, if Pep has been a success at Bayern. You know, if Pep has done what he was brought in to do. And for me, I was gonna make a video like this, like at the end of the season. Well, I think now is as good as any time to make it. Now, the light is really annoying. I know you can like literally just see like, it's kind of annoying, but To figure out whether Pep has been a success or whether Pep has been a failure, we have to look at why he was brought in. And I think most people that think that he was brought in to win the Champions League, most people think that he was brought in to win the Champions League, which he wasn't. That's like the biggest misconception that people have, that he was brought in to win the Champions League. He was brought in to shape an era. That basically that's maybe that's a bit too much, but he was brought in to shape an era. And essentially, what I mean by that was he was if you look at the three-stage plan, the whole plan was that Van Gaal, he basically laid the foundations. Heinkes, he then basically added some more attacking and more defensive. He added a structure to it, and Pep was supposed to then bring the flexibility to it. And that's basically what he did. That's exactly what he did. And the main reason for bringing Pep in, obviously, was to give our team a flexible system, as well as a recognizable system. That was the main thing, to have a recognizable system. If you look at all the interviews that Karl-Heinz Rummenigge did, and that Paul Breitner did, and even Uli Hoeneß, like in early 2013, all of them mentioned, basically that was the whole plan of bringing Pep in, to basically shape a new era, to basically bring in new players, and then he can. So those new players can then become a mainstay for Bayern Munich. He wasn't really brought in to win Champions League success. I think the reason why people thought he was brought in to win the Champions League is obviously because in 2012 we failed, and in 2013, when he was already hired, we then suddenly won. So people were saying, okay, you know what? We've won the Champions League, so now he has to win it himself too, to be remembered. And it's a difficult act to follow, obviously, after someone wins a treble, the first time in the whole history of the club. So that's a very difficult act to follow. Now, let's look at Pep's years individually. So let's look at his first year, his second year, and obviously this year. And obviously this year is not finished yet, but let's look at it this way, right? In his first year, came in, lost the Super Cup against Dortmund 4-2, I believe it was. Then the next, he won the Bundesliga that season. He won the DFB Pokal that season. So he did the double. And we won the European Super Cup. We won the Club World Cup. And I think that's it. I think that is it. But yeah, so we won the European. We won the European Super Cup against Chelsea. We won the Club World Cup against Anzi Makalelish, I think it was. yeah, I probably butchered that name totally. But we won those two trophies. We won the Bundesliga. We won the DFB Pokal. So 4 trophies in his first year. Now, second year. Well, actually, in that year, Champions League, we obviously got knocked out by Real Madrid. That was really bad by Pep. And honestly, that was probably like the worst tactical decision he's done at Bayern. For a long time, I didn't blame him for that, because I was like, you know what? I don't blame you for that. You know why? Because most of the goals came from set pieces. And then, like a couple of months ago, I started watching the match again. So I went back to that match and I was like, okay, you know what? Nah, you got that wrong, Pep. You got that wrong, Pep. So like literally just like a few months ago, I was like, you know what? I was wrong, yeah. I didn't want to blame you, because most of the goals came from set pieces. Like I think 3 of them came from set pieces. So I was like, you know what? I'm not gonna blame you. I'm not gonna blame you. And then until I realized, actually, no, I was wrong. I was an idiot. Yeah, that was your mistake. Anyway, we go to like 2015, 2014, 2015. Now, we win the Bundesliga. We go out in semi-final of the DFB Pokal against Dortmund, in which was probably like the worst way to go out, really. Like, penalties. I don't normally have a problem with penalties. Okay, that's a lie. I do have a problem with penalties. But normally, when I spend this penalty, I'm like, okay, you know what? We've got the better players at penalty. We've got like the more technical players, which means that we're better. Honestly, this light is bothering me so much. We've got the better players, we've got the better keeper and whatnot, so we should win. But against Tottenham, it was a case of, what the fuck is going on? Like, how are you guys slipping? Like, what's going on? So, that one, honestly, yeah, I don't blame Pep for that one. I don't even know who to blame for that one. That was just like one of those matches where you're up and then you just stop playing whatsoever, and then you just lose by slipping. know. I don't know. Moving on though. Moving on. In the Champions League semi-final against Barcelona, we go out to again, obviously we go out to Barcelona. Hey, we're playing against them, of course. Now that year we did have a lot of injury problems, so getting to that point was an achievement in itself, which obviously the Porto match showed, which is why everyone was so hyped and everything after the Porto match. Because don't get me wrong, Porto is a good team. But you would expect us to beat them, But obviously with the injuries and everything, that literally became like a quote unquote miracle, I guess you could say, as many people called it afterwards. So yeah, that year we were plagued by injuries, and that's just the way it is. So we went out in the semi-finals against Dortmund and against Barcelona. Now this year is not obviously finished yet, but this season, we are most likely to win the Bundesliga. I'm saying that, most likely to win the Bundesliga, because I don't know how the moral is right now, and that's a big problem. I don't know if they're going to be like, yeah, you know what, because we lost yesterday, let's all go all the way out, let's all do everything that we can do to win, so we might win our next match 5-6-0, or just to really vent the frustration, or just might be like, who cares, it doesn't matter anymore. And if that's the kind of attitude, then I don't think we only need essentially 1 point, but if that's the kind of attitude, then I don't think we could. I think we could still lose it. So that's a huge thing right now. So the players, I'm pretty sure we'll win it this weekend. So that's what I'm gonna say to that. So Bundesliga, I think we won it. Dear people, Carl, we are in the final against Dortmund, which will be a great match. Obviously we're the favourites. Although looking at the way Dortmund are played, they're really dangerous and they're really threatening. So. It's going to be a great match, but it's going to be a very difficult match. I think the odds are maybe like 50-50, not 50-50, 55-45, something along the lines, maybe 60-40, something along the lines of that. So it'll be an interesting match, and obviously the semi-final, we went out yesterday against Atletico Madrid, in which was probably our best match under Pep as a whole, and obviously there are a lot of great matches that we had under Pep, but for 90 minutes I thought we were absolutely fantastic yesterday. And it's a shame that we went out, but ultimately you can't. Football is a results game, and obviously we didn't get the right results. So did Pep fail winning the Champions League? Of course he did. Yeah, if you look at it, if you think that Pep was brought in to win a Champions League, of course he failed his stint at Bayern. But overall, like as a whole, he won titles consistently every single year. Even last year when we were plagued by probably the worst injury record ever. And you look at our injury history over the last 5 years, and we've had the most injury, even more than Arsenal, even more than like other teams, even more than Leverkusen, even more than like other teams that constantly get injured. So we've been the team that has been the most unluckiest with injuries last season and over the last 5 seasons. So to still do that well, I know everyone says that the Bundesliga is easy and whatnot, but I totally disagree with that. You have around 7 teams that are literally that we can always drop points to, and then you have obviously another like 10-11 teams that are always difficult to play, and we can always drop points to two, but not as frequently, And some teams that I'm obviously mentioning are Dortmund, Leverkusen, Schalke, Borussia Mönchengladbach, who you always lose, to be fair. Who did I even mention? So obviously the 7 teams are Dortmund, Leverkusen, Schalke, Gladbach, Wolfsburg. Obviously this season you could say Hertha Berlin as well, but I was thinking more like Mainz, and then you have the likes of normally I would say the likes of. Actually, I'll stay with that. I'll stick with that unless I can't remember a team right now. But I think those are normally the teams that we lose points to. And obviously, this season we've done really well. Last season, fucking hell, this light is disturbing me. But last season we have obviously we did really well too with the whole injury record and everything. So I think that's been really good. I know people say it's easy, but it's not as easy as people think. And the Dear People Call, obviously, it's a one match game. And we've done really well in it. Last season, obviously, we went out in it, but we've reached a final twice under Pep. We've won it once, and we don't know if we're going to win it this season again. Champions League, we've had some really good matches, some really great matches. We've had a few terrible matches, but most of the time we've set record after record after record after record. So I don't think that's a failure. Honestly, reaching the semi-finals 3 times, I don't think that's a failure. I know we haven't won it. I know we haven't reached the final under Pep. But do I think it's a failure? No. Do I think it could have been better? Yes. But is it a failure? No. No. Especially this season. I think this season... this and last season, I think, are the 2 seasons where, you know, I was really like, yeah, you know what? Well done. Like, the first season, not so much, because we didn't really face that many difficulties. We faced Manchester United, who are basically on a downward spiral, right? But like last season, obviously with all the injuries, we played against Porto, did really well against Barcelona, even though we lost the first leg 3-0 and the second leg, and won the second leg 3-2. I didn't think we were that outplayed. I think that, you know, Barcelona, they had much better chances, but I just think we didn't take our chance. Not to the extent that it was this year, but just in the extent of, you know, both teams were pretty equal in the first leg, and obviously then they scored 3 goals, and ultimately that was when the tie was over, when they scored the 3 goals in the last 10 minutes. So it was just a case of, you know, we didn't have players to rotate, so the same players had to play for multiple months on edge, and they just got tired in the last 10 minutes, and that's when obviously Barcelona used that thing to their advantage, and then the match was basically already over. This season, however, we played against the likes of Juventus without Robin in the second leg. You know, we've had Ribery out for a long time. Robin has been out without centre-backs. So we've been without centre-backs for the last 6 months or so. And Boateng only came back. So I think that if we had a healthy squad, like a fully healthy squad with all our players, just for 1 season, I think we would have won the Champions League. But obviously, that's something for next season. And we do have the best squad depth, but we always have the most injuries. So maybe that's perhaps one of the... I don't know how much that relates to the training and whatnot, but that might perhaps be one of the most frustrating things about the era under Pep. Now, the transition. Obviously, the style is there. We're clear style. Everyone that watches us knows how we play. So he clearly established that, and obviously next season, I don't know how that's going to go, but I do believe that Ancelotti will play a similar style, although he's going to play much more pragmatic and not as flexible. Because to be fair, we have been much better with coaches and trainers that have been much more pragmatic. So yeah, we'll see. Now moving on from that, how has Pep brought in like players? You know, not specifically Pep, but how has Pep managed to get players into the mix that can shape an era, that can be there for a time and shape an era? Now I think that's perhaps Pep's biggest strength. You know, in his first year, Højbjerg played a lot. Obviously, not as much anymore, but Højbjerg played a lot. He played the DFB Pokal final, which says a lot. Then in the second year, you have the likes of Weiser, who played a lot of games, more than Götze, to be fair. Then you have the likes of Gaudino, who played a lot of games in the first half of the season that year. You have the likes of Højbjerg, who went on loan, obviously. Green, who went on loan. All these players came back. Obviously, Højbjerg is now back on loan. Gaudino is on loan as well, who's actually doing really well. If you look at his stats at St. Gallen, he's actually done really well. So I'm liking that. I've not been following him too much, but I've been trying to keep up to date with their team and everything. Obviously on Transfermarkt and everything, just to see the stats and everything, how he's been playing. And he hasn't been doing too bad. He's been doing pretty well actually. So I'm looking forward to Gaudino. And obviously he also brought in new players such as Coman, who's very young, such as Kimmich, who's obviously very young, and he's integrated all of them. Perhaps the only 2 or 3 players that... The only player I can actually think of who really... Actually, no, the only 3 players actually, under Pep that really stagnated or haven't, you know, improved. I think he improved basically every single player except maybe 3 players, and those 3 were Götze, who obviously I think injuries. To be fair, I've literally just come across that recently, but I think injuries actually have a lot to do with that as well, because every time at the start of the season he does really well until he gets like a little 3-4 weeks injury, and then when he comes back, it just takes him so long to get back to his form. But that's a totally different discussion. I'd have to look at facts and figures and whatnot for that to actually make that kind of discussion. But Götze is perhaps the only player that hasn't really improved, as well as Dante, who obviously was sold at that point, and Mandzukic, who wasn't even that bad when he was playing on the Pep, but obviously he said that them two basically had a fight and whatnot, so he went. Besides that, you look at the players that Pep has improved. You look at Boateng. I think that's the biggest example. You know, he literally, I've never seen us Bayern fans be so happy that a player was in the starting lineup as we were yesterday when he was in the starting lineup against Atletico Madrid, and it just showed he created a lot of good chances. Look at Müller. I think Müller has improved a lot. You know, you might not see it, but I think he's improved a lot, because last season you could see that he was trying to take on more long range shots and whatnot, and this season he's really worked. The chemistry between him and Lewandowski has really, you know, exploded. And that's not just up to the players. That's also obviously up to the, you know, what how they're being coached and whatnot, how the training goes. So yeah, I do think, you know, that's Pep as well. Robin, Lam, Ribery, who's been most of the time injured, Ribery and Alaba, all these players have done really well. I think Alaba especially, he's improved a lot this season. Of course, he's been, in 2016 should I say, he's been on a little bit of a downward spiral, but that's obviously because he's been playing as centre back for most of the time and not as a left back. But that's what it is. But not, you know, despite what people are saying, I think he's still a great player. And in his first season, he was excellent. This season, he's been a little bit slow, you know, not slow in terms of running, but slow in terms of thinking, okay, what am I going to do next? For the first season, when he got the ball, he instantly crossed it, he instantly passed it. This season, he gets the ball, he thinks for a second or two, and he's like, should I pass it? Should I cross it? So I think as soon as he, you know, gets back to being mentally quick again, that sounds kind of stupid, but being mentally quick again, then I think he'll be fine. And in general, I think that all the players have improved, you know, besides maybe the few that I mentioned. So, has Pep brought in new players that can obviously play for us for the next 5-6 years? Yes and no, in my opinion. I think that yes, he's brought in a lot of players and developed a lot of players that can definitely, you know, take the mantle of Ribery. But I felt that he could maybe do a little bit more. You know, Gardino, I thought maybe he play him. I thought he was excellent, to be fair. Play him a little bit more. Then the likes of Højbjerg, I thought that it was a shame that he went on loan. I think he would have benefited more of staying with, you know, us and playing with us a little matches here and there. Weiser, who played a lot, is now doing really well for her at Berlin, so I thought we should have signed his contract, but that's obviously not up to Pep. Kroos, honestly, Tony Kroos, man. I know a lot of people have mixed feelings about him. I really want him back. I don't have that kind of thing where I don't feel where I'm angry at players when they leave, just because it's football ultimately. And you know, you want to get more money. You want to, you know, go to teams. You want to visit countries and whatnot. So I don't blame him for that. I just blame us ourselves. You know, that's the way I see it. But yeah, that's just what I think. Ultimately, has Pep been a failure? No. If I had to rate him, you know, that's kind of weird, but rating him out of 10, I'd perhaps give him a 7.5. I think that's what I'd probably give him, a 7.5. And the reason why I'm saying a 7.5 is because under Pep, we've had the same problem for a majority of this. We've had the same problems for a majority of the time he's been here, and although it looks like we've stopped those problems for the majority, they still always exist, and you know, we can't get rid of them fully. And the problems I'm talking about is that in the first leg away from home, we always play poorly. In the second leg, we always do really well, which obviously Atletico Madrid, the match there again, we didn't play poorly away, but we didn't get the away goal. So I think that Pep is a little bit, he's not. I've said it before, but I would always go for the attack. Pep, he's a little bit more. He wants control away and he wants to attack at home. I would always go with the attack away or at home. That's perhaps Pep's biggest failure. His away record at us with us, and even at Barcelona, to be fair. Second problem is that although not just vulnerable to counterattacks, but we are pretty vulnerable to counterattacks, although we've pretty much stopped that for a majority. Obviously yesterday was poor in the way Atletico scored, but counterattacks do happen in football. You know, we're not really vulnerable to them, but they do happen against us a lot because of the way we play. So basically every attack is a counterattack. We stop most of them, but we still have a few of them here and there. So yeah, I don't think we're vulnerable to counterattacks. Not like it was in the first season where we were really vulnerable. But this season, I think we've been pretty much able to control them for most parts, and that light is so annoying. Anyway, so that's what I think. Like I said, 7.5. I think that he did excellent. He could have done it much better. reaching one final would have been great, but ultimately, I still think he did well. I still think he did well. I just, a comparison here, 7.5. Where would I put Heinkes at? Which is obviously very difficult to say because, yeah, I'd put... That's actually really difficult because I would put Heinkes at probably a 9. Probably a 9. Yeah, that's what I probably would put Heinkes in. Don Yup, that's where he'd be at 9. Pep, like I said, 7.5. And the only reason why Yup is a 9 is because obviously he won a treble. But yeah, the reason why he's not a 10 is just because I thought he played the same lineup every week. But basically, like, if you didn't play, you wouldn't develop whatsoever. So if we had 1 year of like a really bad injuries, I don't think we would have won a treble, you know. But that's what I think. Tell me what you guys think. Obviously, that's very subjective, but that's just what I think. I put Pep at 7.5, Yup at a 9, and yeah, obviously those are the 2 best managers that we've had in a long time. So yeah, that's what I think. Tell me what you guys think in the comment section down below. As always, people, you can rate, comment, favorite, and subscribe. This was me, TV. Peace out, and have a nice day. Bye.